What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. And today, I'm going to do my second episode of my Worlds Without Number solo series. If you haven't been paying attention, I have done a session 0 and a session 1 for this already. So if you want to go back and watch those, I'm going to put a link to that playlist at the end of this video. That said, today, we are going to continue to follow the adventures of Sal, Din, and Ra as they try to piece back together the fallen world in which they live. Also, we're going to look at the level advancement system for Worlds Without Number. So, if any of that interests you, come over to the table with me and let's check it out. But before we get there, I want to remind you, anytime that you like, share, or subscribe, that helps the channel. It increases our impact on the algorithm, and it gets us out to more viewers, so it's much appreciated. Without further ado, let's get over there. First things first, let's go ahead and roll additional hit points. When you level up in Worlds Without Number, you roll all of the hit dice for your character and add their con bonus, if applicable, to each die, and then see if you have more hit points than you did before. If you do, you keep the better. If you end up with less hit points somehow, even though you rolled an additional die, well, then you just add 1 to your current total. So, Sal is a warrior, and as such, gets a d6 plus 2 naturally for his hit points. So he's going to roll 2d6 plus 4. So I got a 9 plus 4 is 13 hit points. His current hit point total is 5. So that is a huge bonus. Din is an expert, so he gets just a straight 2d6, and he has no con bonus either. So I rolled a 3, which is less than my 5 hit points I currently had, so we just add 1 to that. So he's going to go up to 6. That's okay. He generally wants to stay in the back at any rate. And finally, we have Ra, who is our mage. And he gets a d6 minus 1, or rather, 2d6 minus 1. So he's got 10 minus 2 is 8. But he also gets plus 2 for each level for his massive con bonus. So we've got 8 plus 4. He is up to 12 hit points. And that's probably good because he's not the most dexterous. I did find an error.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
In my earlier setup of Ra, because I gave him the foci of developed attribute. Well, looking closer at the fine print, casters cannot use this foci. So I'm going to drop his charisma bonus to a 1, and when we get to selecting foci, I'm going to get 2 of those. Next step in the leveling up process is checking to see if our attack improves. That is going to be true for both Sal and Din, as the warrior and expert classes get a bonus at level 2. So we're going to add that there. And there.
And actually, this is wrong. This should be 1 more. There we go. And so that should be a plus 4. And that is good for Sal. Then it's going to go up to a plus 1, which will make him even on melee, plus 2 on ranged. So, with his dex bonus, that will give him a plus 3 with his bow. And finally, we have Ra, whose attack bonus does not go up at level 2. I do need to put their levels on the character sheets, though. So level 2 and level 2. They have 3 XP, which they gained at the end of last session.
Next up, we improve every save by 1, because your saving throw is influenced by your level. So that just makes them a little bit more survivable. And that is the only way that you can improve your luck save, I believe. So we got Din, And I did actually go ahead and adjust down my mental save, or up my mental save rather, on Nozenra, because I had to lower his charisma bonus because he couldn't have developed attribute. And there are the saves updated. So if you are following along, we are now on step 4 of the advancement process on each of our characters. And so at this step, we are going to do skill points. And we gained 3 skill points with basic characters and 4 with the expert. So now you can also do attribute boosts with skill points. There's a scale. You can do 1 at 2nd level. You can do your 2nd still at 2nd level. So the first one costs 1 skill point. The second one costs 2. So for 3 skill points, I could increase an attribute by 2 points. I don't think I want to do quite that, but I do want to increase his strength for 1. So he has used 1 of his attribute boosts. So we are going to take 1 of our skill points for that. Now, the level maximums, you can't have a skill over a 1 until you are 3rd level. So I've got 2 skill points, but I can't improve my stab and I can't improve my heal. But that's okay because Sal was kind of narrow, as it were. I think I am going to add exert. And that's just basically the ability to work for long periods of time and not get over exhausted. And then I am going to give him shoot, just so he doesn't get a penalty if he uses a ranged weapon. So that's done for Sal. One thing I did forget, since I increased his strength to an 18, that would normally be a +2, which he already had because of his developed attribute. So I need to increase everything impacted by strength by 1. And, oh, not base attack, just melee. Okay. I'm not sure on my d6 +4 here. Maybe the short sword was +1 to damage for something. I have to look that up. And I'm sure that that will make great viewing for you guys.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
So we'll probably skip over that. Okay, I did verify. This is correct. His damage should be d6 plus his strength, which is 3, plus half his level. I hadn't thought about his killing blow class ability. That also makes his shock value, rather than a 2 plus his strength, which would be a 5, a 6. So even if he misses, his shock value is going to be 6 damage as long as the AC of the armor is below this, and he has a special ability to help further do shock damage. Okay, now we have Den. Den has 4 skill points. He can improve one of his attributes for a point, just like Sal did, and he's going to do so because he's got a wisdom of 17. So let's make that an 18, because an 18 gives you a +2 on your rolls. That will lower his mental save by an additional 1, and he still has 3 points to work with. Again, I can't raise anything above a 1, but let's spend 1 to increase our convince. Let's do 1 to increase our sneak. And let's do 1 to increase our perform. We're going to say that Den has been trying his hand at a little singing. He is trying to become an adept skald, as it were. And here we have Ra. Ra is going to go ahead and spend 1 to increase his magic skill, which is going to be good because he lost 1 point of his charisma bonus, so that makes us even there. And we got 2 left. We'll raise his prey to 1, kind of reflects how he has been blessed. And he's got 1 more, which we're going to increase his no to 0.
Knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
He is going to be kind of the bookworm, even though he has a 9 intelligence. His background kind of suggests that's something that he might be good at. Okay, so Ra is going to get to be able to have prepared an additional spell each day. Even though he can't cast an additional spell, he'll have the ability to have an additional one memorized. Doesn't really help him now because his spell book is pretty thin. But he's also going to get an art for the high mage profession and also the healer profession. So we are going to go ahead and choose. He's already got, he has retained sorcery as his first level, and I think he's going to have empowered sorcery for his other art for high magic. So that will allow him to re-roll any variable on a spell by having his effort committed. It should be noted, I lowered his charisma bonus, which would lower his effort, but I raised his magic skill, so it breaks even. So he's still at a 2 effort for his high magic arts. For his additional healer art, I think going along with kind of the storyline with Ra is that he is just nigh unkillable. He has this, I don't know if it's luck or he's divinely blessed or what the case is, but he just is incredibly tough, which is reflected in his constitution as well as where I'm going to go with his foci. And so I'm going to choose tireless vigor. You can commit effort while it remains committed. Your need to eat, drink, breathe, or sleep does not grow further. You may exert yourself tirelessly and regenerate 1 lost hit point per hour. So we're going to add tireless vigor to his arts, making him even more durable. Okay, so for Sal and his level 2 foci, I'm going to make Shocking Assault level 2, which is going to give +2 to shock damage on top of the other benefits. So now, even if I miss, the minimum I'll do is 8. And I actually treat my weapon as if all targets had an AC 10 for shock damage. So that's pretty good. And it also means if I roll to do damage, if I hit, I can't do less than 8. That's pretty ridiculous. That's a really good ability. I noticed another mistake before. Deadeye was supposed to add my shoot skill to my range damage, so with my +1 for my dex and my Deadeye ability, I'd be +2. And now I am going to add another foci, which will add to my ability to hit with my bow. And I'm going to do Sniper's Eye. And it says I gain shoot as a bonus skill. Since I already have a shoot of 1, I can't raise it. So I believe that that gives me a free skill point to use. So I am going to give him lead as a result. But the reason I'm picking Sniper's Eye is on an execution roll. I roll with advantage. So basically an execution roll, you have to set it up and you roll a skill roll. So you would normally roll 2d6. I'd roll 3d6, keep the best 2. And you try to hit a difficulty number, and it allows you to potentially just kill a target without actually going through the combat process. But you have to set it up for, I believe it's a minute, so it's not something that's easily done, but it could definitely help in story situations. As I said before, I had to take away developed attribute because he is a magic user, so he's not eligible for that. So I'm actually going to choose Die Hard.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Which will give an extra 2 hit points per level. And he'll automatically stabilize if mortally wounded, providing he hasn't been incinerated, dismembered, or otherwise torn apart. So that's another 4 hit points. So he's at 16, yes, 16 hit points. And then for my second level, I am going to do Connected, just as a way to kind of show that even though Nozenra has lived on the outskirts of acceptable society, he is very adept at making friends, and there's something about him that just draws people towards him. All right, and here we are, ready to play. And so I think that we have kind of gotten halfway to New Camelot, and we need to rest. So our escort here that has kind of taken us to the halfway Whole Pint Inn has dropped us off, and he is delivering his cargo to the inn, and our characters here are going to make their way into the inn and try to procure some food. Now you may notice that I am using some Dwarven Forge terrain now. It takes up quite a bit of space, and it makes it a little bit more of a premium on what I can have at the table with me. But not to worry, because with Worlds Without Number, you have this handy one-sheeter that has all of the pertinent rules that you're going to need to refer to. And then they also have a single sheet where you have your bestiary. And because I'm using one-page Mythic, that is a single page as well. And I have my name generator from Stars Without Number on the back. And remember, you can pick up Worlds Without Number for free on DriveThruRPG. And one-page Mythic you can get for a couple bucks. And Stars Without Number you can get also for free. So I am going to open up this inn and have the characters go in to try to settle down. Okay, so we arrive at the inn, and I am going to see if there are any rooms and I think it is very likely that there would be some rooms available. And so I got a 14. That's an exceptional yes. So I would say that basically there is no one here but the locals. They're just here to drink. So there are rooms available, and I am going to see if Colin Chapman, the future high priest of the temple in Chapeltown, I'm going to see if he happened to bring any resources with him, or if he has the ability to get us a free or reduced cost room. And so I am going to use my convince skill with Den, and I'm going to say it's a normal skill roll. So we're going to try to do an 8. And I get a +1 to my roll because I have a 1 in convince. And I failed. So I don't think that Brother Chapman thinks that this would be a good use of church influence to try to procure a room. And as a result, we are going to just have to pay the cost. And I think that is going to cost me probably about 15 silver for the 4 of us for the evening. So I'm going to remove 15 silver from Den, because he's the one that was carrying some cash, and that'll also cover a meal. So we're going to take some spots here and eat with one of the locals, a couple of the locals, and talk about the next leg of our journey to escort Colin to the capital so that they can make it official that he is now the high priest of Chapeltown, which is the religious center of the campaign setting that we are in. So I did outsource the next random event to the community, and we decided that a rogue sect of the Temple Knights were behind the attempt to steal the artifact, the relic, which was a piece of Arthur's jousting lance. And they were doing that to try to take power from the priest class and from the legitimate Temple Knights. And we determined in the poll that they were going to take issue with the attempt to make Colin official. And so I'm going to ask the Oracle how that's going to happen. So I'm going to do action description first. So 79 action. Obstacle and description 86. Ruined. Obstacle ruined. Let's do another description with that. 76. Powerful. Obstacle ruined. Ooh. Okay. So I think maybe they're just going to attempt to kill Colin, and we can try to keep him alive. So let's see what happens. So I think that the rogue Temple Knights have been tipped off that we were headed this way. I think that it is 50-50 that I'm right about that. So let's ask the Oracle. 27, 50-50. Yes, so they were tipped off. So if you'll remember, the folks that were taking the relic to New Camelot, they were along this same road. They just hadn't gotten this far yet. So if they are tipped off, they know that we're headed this way, they would have been behind us most likely because they couldn't have gotten word to New Camelot. So this would be folks following us. And as a result, let's find out how many of them there are. And we'll do 2d4. 2 and 4. So 6 of these guys. All right, this is going to be tough. So I made some room just in case the battle spills outside. And I think that the citizenry, when they see the ruffians make their way, they are going to probably try their best to make for a safer area. And so the captain of the Rogue Knights, I think they kind of just make their way through the doors shortly after we get settled in. And I think we said there was going to be 6 of them. So that's going to be a very cramped combat. But I would remind you, because we left directly from our last encounter so as to not attract more attention than we already had, the wizard has not regained his high mage spells, so he is strictly a healer right now. But I've got 5, and I'm going to call these veteran soldiers, which are on the little bestiary page. And I think that they've got short swords, and one of them has a bow. I've got him in the back here. And so we're going to go ahead and roll initiative. We're going to roll a d8. We'll roll for the good guys first. And got a 4 + 1 for highest dexterity, so 5. And we'll roll for the bad guys, and they got a 6. So they are going to be going first. So, and with their goal being to kill Brother Chapman, to create conflict and chaos within the priestly order and potentially within the nation as a whole, having lost 2 religious leaders in a single week, then I think that they're going to focus on getting that done. And we're probably going to lose our ward here. He has probably not got much of a chance. And we'll have this guy with the bow stand in the back. And here we go. So I think 3 of them can get short swords on him. So first one missed, but a short sword has shock damage of 2 natively. So that's going to be 2 damage to Mr. Chapman. The second guy, 15's definitely going to hit. And we'll give him a d6 damage. Hit 5. Oh my goodness. So Brother Chapman has taken 7 damage. That's more than a non-combatant would probably have. I think it's very likely that that's more than Colin will have. So let's go ahead and roll that on the Oracle before we make our other moves. So 98, very likely. Exceptional, no. Oh, that's interesting. So I said very likely that that was enough damage to take him down, and I got an exceptional no. So that means that there's more to Colin than what we realized. So let's get the third guy in there. And a 10, we're going to say that he probably missed on that because he's getting a +2, so it's a 12. I'd give Colin unarmored. I'd give him probably an 11. Maybe he's a little bit extra, so he's probably going to take another hit. Okay, so he's taken 11 points of damage. Wow. So now we're going to ask the Oracle again. Again, very likely he is not tough enough to take all this damage. But let's ask the Oracle. 67. Yeah, so that was finally enough to put him down, but he was much tougher than one would expect by his station. And so he is kind of leaning against the table, kind of dying. And so the archer is going to take a shot at Sal, who is up front. And the archer is getting a +2 to hit. That's a 12, but Sal has an armor class of 13, so he's good. So now it's time for some retribution. And Sal is going to kind of work his way up in front of the fallen Colin. And he is going to attack this gentleman here. And he got a 7, which is going to be a miss. But I think just his shock damage is going to be enough to take him down. So 8 damage. He's got 1 hit die. So that's 8 hit points. So there we go. So that's his turn. So Ra is going to commit effort to be able to heal. And actually we'll go with Den first. Den's going to step back, and Den is going to take a shot at their archer. And he got an 8 + 3 is an 11. Their AC is a 13, so he has missed. And now Ra is going to commit effort to be able to do a little bit of healing throughout this combat. So he can heal 2d6 plus his heal skill, 9 plus his heal skill of 1, so 10 points of damage. So that would leave Colin with only have taken 1 point of damage. Now, I need to ask the Oracle if Colin can be saved. He's not a main character. He is an NPC. So I'm going to give it a 50-50. Maybe he is more important than what we think to the story. So 96, 50-50, exceptional no.
Game over.
So despite the best efforts of Ra to use his divine gifts to heal the wounds that have been done to Colin, they are too grievous to overcome, and the chaplain is perishing. So now it is going to be the bad guys' turns again. And we're going to say this guy's going to step in here. We're going to get 2 guys attacking Sal and 1 attacking Ra. So on Sal, we got a 12 + 2 of 14, so that's going to hit, doing 1 point of damage, bringing Sal down to 12 hit points. So there's Sal. Second guy on Sal, 10 + 2 is a 12. He misses. I guess Sal is a 15. It's actually Den that's a 13. So that's all right. I let him hit anyways. So then we have the third guy is going to attack Ra. And he misses badly. But Ra is going to take a couple points of his shock damage. So we're going to say that brings Ra all the way down to 14 hit points, because Ra is quite the vigorous young man. And then we're going to have the archer shoot at our archer. And he got a 14, so that is enough to hit his short bow, which does a point of damage to Den, which brings him to 5 hit points, because out of my 3, Den is the one that rolled poorly for his HP and didn't have a lot going on there to begin with. So he's going to be one I've got to keep an eye on. So that is their turn. We're going to go with Sal again. Sal is going to keep kind of bashing these guys close to the kegs to protect his ale that he's planning on drinking after this is over. And he's got a natural 20. Now, a natural 20 in Worlds Without Number does not indicate additional damage, but it does mean that it's an automatic hit. So we're going to go ahead and roll our damage, and Sal rolled a 1, but plus 4, but he does an automatic 8 because of his ability to do shock damage. So again, killed them without getting a direct blow. And we're going to say Ra is going to try to smack them with his staff. And he got a 14, but he gets no bonuses to hit, but there are 13, so he actually is going to hit. So with his staff, he's going to do 4 damage to this guy. So that guy's kind of stumbling and trying to figure out how this gangly mage was able to club him with his unorthodox style. And then Den is going to go ahead and shoot the guy that Ra just hit. He got a 10, plus he has a plus 3 to hit, so a 13 is enough to hit. And he is going to do enough damage to finish that guy off. As the guy is stumbling around trying to figure out what happened with this clubbing with the staff, he catches an arrow to his throat and falls to the ground bleeding out. So that is our turn. Now we are going to roll some morale, because these guys have lost half of their force already, and in a very quick manner. So, and we rolled a 9. Their morale is an 8, so they do break. So I think this guy, kind of in the back, he's going to kind of back away and then make a break for it. This guy kind of looks around and he sees that his buddy is engaged, and he's kind of says, "Sorry about you," and he takes off too. So with this guy here, it's not easy to capture the guys that are leaving, but potentially maybe we can do some convincing here to get some additional information from this last one. So, well, why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and have Deninius try to convince. Oh man, a 3 plus 1 is a 4. Definitely not convincing this guy. Again, this is similar to the encounter last time. I'm going to read this as not necessarily so much that Deninius failed, as these guys are more worried about their employer than they are about what we can do to them. And so he is going to try to just fight to the death. And he's going to stab just kind of defiantly at Sal. And he got a 13, which is not enough to hit Sal. And so Sal is going to try to just bash him with his shield. And he got a good roll there, 18 plus 5. So definitely he's going to hit him with the shield. And 2 and 3 is 15. So, or 5 rather, not 15. 5. So kind of bash him back and follow up, and then give Denenwius another opportunity to try to convince him to come to his senses. All right, got a 10. So after being clubbed about his face with Sal's shield, and then having an arrow pointed directly at his head by Den, the final of the rogue Temple Knights has thought better of trying to fight to the death, and I think that Ra is going to lead the questioning, and he's going to say, what do you gain from this? And we're going to do 2 descriptions. So 96, stylish, so maybe riches, and 90, simple and stylish. So it's all about money and power. And so they don't have it and they want it. And so it's the age-old tale of the ones with the money are the ones that have the power, and that's what these guys are wanting. So I think we're going to ask him now, who is your leader? And we're going to roll on the name generator. 22. Arthur. Well, that's interesting. 99. Okay, and then 22 and a 99. Both of those are matches. And if I were rolling on the regular Oracle table, matches mean that you introduce a twist. And I think rolling 2 of these in a row and getting the name Arthur, that means that I need to enter a twist into the story. And the last name as a 99 is Young. Arthur Young. Or maybe it is a young Arthur. So maybe this group of rogue knights believes that there is a young Arthur reborn to the world that is leading them. So, so I'm going to go with that. I think that's interesting, and I think that could be a lot of fun as we go throughout the remaining sessions of this campaign. So I want to know where this young Arthur is leading from. Is he? Yeah, let's just roll some descriptions to see where he's leading from. We'll roll twice on it. 54, loud, and 80, reassuring. So it's loud, reassuring. I'm going to read loud in this context as like obvious, and reassuring as I think that maybe he is leading from the ruins of old Camelot, and that's why it's reassuring, because it seems right if you're looking for that to be right. And so I think that means that we probably need to make our way towards the ruins of old Camelot to try to take this hopefully false Arthur down, or find out more about why he is doing this, why he is killing members of the temple from Chapeltown, and trying to take their power and their resources from them. Now, there's been a large commotion here, and I don't know if you noticed, but a little bit further back, I had built kind of a guards nook. This is a very small community, but figure they might have need for a constable and a couple of guards. Um, is it possible that there are guards in this small community? And we'll say likely. 40. Yes. I think if there are, that's very likely that they've heard the commotion. 83. No. So apparently maybe these are just small town guards that have had too much to drink, and they are now passed out, and they're just kind of enjoying the benefits of a cushy job. So what are we going to do with this gentleman here? I think we need to take him to the local clink and throw him in, and then try to make our way to the ruins of Old Camelot. Okay, so we're going to open up this little jail that I've created. He won't go on the second level. He's not quite that dangerous. But there is a door over here, and I think that we would take this gentleman and wake up the guards from their liquor-induced slumber and try to get this gentleman locked away, and then see what the guards could perhaps offer us in the way of resources, since we did hope keep their town safe. So I'm going to roll a convince, needing an 8, to try to get a bounty or reward for dispatching the ruffians that came to disrupt the peace. And I got a 10, that's an 11. So yeah, I think that we get a little bit of a reward, keeping in mind that this is not a rich or wealthy community. So let's go ahead and just say 2d12 silver. So 10 silver, we'll say 10 silver per each of the dispatched ruffians. So this guy and then the 3 that were killed. So 40 silver, that seems reasonable that they might have that, and it seems like a decent payment for keeping the peace. So here is where we are at. We are roughly here, and Old Camelot is down here in the ruins, and by looking at my original graph map, it's about 45 miles from where we're at. So it's going to be a 2-day trip, no matter how we slice it, to get to the ruins to try to see what is going on with this young Arthur. And we are going to probably need to go through Camelot to do that. They may have some questions about what has happened with this this priest, if they've even received word that Osbert has been killed. And so we, in our next session, are going to have maybe some opportunities for wilderness adventure encounters, and then maybe we do a little bit of dungeon crawling. And with less time spent on the mechanical nature of leveling up, we could probably get several different sections of a dungeon explored and see where that takes us for our session in June. But that is the end of session 2 for my Worlds Without Number solo series. I do hope that you've been enjoying it as much as I have, and I hope that you'll check out the next episode when that comes out in June. If you have not watched the first 2 episodes, that would be session 0 and session 1, I will have a link to the playlist with those at the end of the video. So until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.